SavvyBusinessRadio.com, we help business owners connect to successful individuals who share their gifts with the world. At SavvyBusinessRadio.com.
Hello everyone, welcome to Savvy Business Radio for our live video. Today we have return guest Karlene Petitt. She's been here a number of times, but today she's sharing her latest book, Flight for Sanity. And this is her fourth in her series of Flight 4. And I'm so excited to have you here. Thank you so much for coming.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here too.
Yes, well, I've read all of your novels. They kept me on the end of my chair, and this latest one is just as riveting as the others. But you know, I found out by talking to you personally that this isn't all just based on, I mean, they're fiction, but there's a little bit of reality behind it because you've done a lot of research into each of these books. Share a little bit about why you created the Flight 4.
Yeah, I originally started this entire series because as an airline pilot, worked for 8 airlines and been in flight instructing and in the heavy jets. And I saw what was going on behind the scenes with mergers, acquisitions, regulation changes, like changing the 1,500-hour rules. And, you know, and we even look at the housing crisis. So when things start happening and things start falling apart, how does that impact people? And your pilots are people. And so I started looking at that. One of my masters is in human services, and so the psychology behind what we do and how we behave, you know, is so important because we are human, and this is where human error comes from. And as an instructor, I started looking at just normal human error where we make our errors from stress. And then I took it to the next level. I thought, what would happen if we had an emotionally unstable or somebody who really had a psychological problem into the cockpit? What would that look like? And do we have protections in place to keep it from that? And so I wrote Flight for Control. And all my incidents are based on real accidents. And I take the reader into the cockpit. So they get to be inside and experience it from a first-hand perspective. And then I started taking that and I thought, okay, that one book, I had one book in me. And then I looked at training. I thought, well, wait a minute, we're going from old school round dial training where I had to read a manual and had to actually, when I did an oral with an FA and an examiner, they said, okay, diagram the electrical system on the 747. And so we had to do that. And now we're at read a book on our own, no ground school, and push, take tests where it's a computer. And it's like multiple choice, A, B, C, D. Well, I definitely know it's that A and B, C, D. I guess, get it right. And so I started thinking, where are we going from old school to new school? And then the airlines started filing bankruptcy and shutting down. So I went back to school and got my MBA to help understand that, which further impacted this. And so, and now I'm looking at this a whole new perspective, and I'm working on my PhD in aviation safety from a safety management system, which is a mandate for all airlines in 2018, and with safety culture. It's such a foundation that these airlines to support that need a safety culture. And that's kind of my Flight for Survival book. Takes us into next gen, automation, drone flying, and then you know my characters. Everybody loves my characters. Darby is probably everybody's dream pilot. I know. Men and women too. The women love her too. You know, the guys want to date her. The women want to be her best friend. and then there's Catherine, who's wants to fix the system from an NTSB perspective, then into the FAA, and it's her journey. And so
she reminds me of myself, Catherine.
She does. She reminds me a lot of you. And so now we go into what would happen in today's industry if we had these really strong women who really are researching, identifying problems that are going on behind the scene. What would the airlines do to somebody who had such a fight for safety and they were right? That which would mean they would have to train better, train differently, give more, not less training. What would they do? Because in today's world we have what they call the whistleblower law. We all know you can't get fired for whistleblowing, right?
Yeah, well, technically.
You can't get fired. Yeah, exactly. And so and this law is actually called the Air 21. It's an Air 21. And so we all know that we're protected, right? Well, guess what?
They just use something else against
They
you.
are using something else, and that's where, without telling the entire story for the readers, but we can look into what's going on with Flight for Sanity. What would be the worst thing you could do to a pilot to shut them down, to discredit them, would be to claim mental health. Okay, and so that's where, and I started doing so much research, and there are hundreds of pilots out there at these airlines who have been falsely accused just to get rid of them. And they're not all safety issues. They just might be, speaking out, or they say, okay, we want the airplanes clean or something. It's just something that, or maybe a personality conflict. They stood up to a management pilot who decided, okay, you're not going to talk to me like that, because we've got pretty high egos in there. And so a lot of them are just real strong personalities. We know pilots have egos. They are strong. All of us are strong personalities anyway. We want that. We want that ego, because it helps keep our, it's that element of confidence, keeps us safe in that cockpit. But when those clash, then there's the problem. And all it takes is a clashing of a personality, and somebody decide they don't want him anymore. So.
And does it still go on in the old days? I heard that the captain ruled in the cockpit, and it was that you don't ever go against the captain's rule. Today, there's supposed to be policies in place that protect that all the crew members have a say. Does it really happen, though, in the real life?
Yeah, we've changed. We've changed. I've been flying airplanes for 38 years now, and so it's changed. It's changed from captain is God, do what I say, and and literally it was like that. And there were accidents of the past where pilots sat in that cockpit, didn't speak out to that captain because of that culture, and they actually flew the airplane in the ground and died. And it could have been prevented if anyone spoke up. And so they came up with CRM, which is Crew Resource Management. And they decided that they realized, and all this research, if we work together as a team, now the captain you still have to have an ultimate authority in the cockpit, but if we all work together as a team, and then we started expanding our team into the flight attendants, into the gate agents, into the ramp, we're all working together for the same goal. So crew resource management, then we transitioned into threat and error management to be proactive, identify the threats in our environment. What's the weather like? What's the, is a runway going to be slick? And so we moved to that aspect. Well, this is what SMS is, safety management systems. I kind of liken it to crew resource management, but for the organization. Now we no longer have somebody in an ivory tower that's not out there working. We bring everyone into this team. But unless you enable people to speak out, come forward if they see a problem, it's not going to work. And safety culture is all about a learning culture, a reporting culture is huge, and an informed culture, and we need this. We really do. And if you don't have that, this mandate is going to be complete lip service.
Oh my gosh.
And I think Darby and Catherine have learned at Global Airlines that this is what it is. It's lip service. And so, and Catherine has seen it from the FAA perspective, and Darby's seeing it from inside the airline. And what do you do? How do you solve it? That's the challenge when you don't have procedures in place to protect.
Wow. And it seems to me that this is a big safety issue, not only just for the people on the airplane, but it becomes grander, because if the airplanes start going down, it's going to affect everyone in all airlines. Prices will go up, people start losing their trust in airlines. And I remember seeing a flight emergency show one time where the weather was really bad, and they called the airline from the tower saying, you know what, we don't think that should be landing at JFK. It's slick, it's dangerous, we think we should shut down the airport. And the flight management, the systems, who's in charge up there was just like, heck no, $70 million a day, they are landing at this airport, you make it happen. But that's the problem. How much is it that management, who doesn't really have a taste of what's going on in the real world, because they're not in the cockpit, end up affecting people in the cockpit? Do they have a sense of what's going on in upper management?
Well, and here's the thing, you have flight ops management, and then you have corporate management. And flight ops management, and this was mandated from the very earliest days, that the FAA mandated, okay, we're going to go into this airline business. You cannot have a manager who is not a pilot type rated. So the fleet training captains and directors of training, they'll have to be trained pilots. And back then you may have had one fleet type, and two airplanes. And as it grew, what's happening is these people, and once again, this is my opinion and my observation of these airlines, but I see what's happening is some of these management people get into place, and then they stay in there for a long time, and the industry is growing so rapidly. I mean, just the difference from when I say round dial, old Boeing, say 747-200, to now the glass cockpits. And so it's growing so so rapidly. We have a completely different environment.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes the management what they'll do is to make them qualify, they'll go give them a type rating. They get them trained, give them the type rating and say, now you are blessed, you go into office because you're legal, you meet the legal requirements. Safety is so much more than doing the minimum.
Yeah.
If we just did the minimum, it would not be a good thing. We need to do more. And so when we start having managers who are allowed to go into place that they haven't experienced it, because that was the intent of that type rating, so you'd be experienced.
Yeah.
And now they're kind of working around. It's, they're kind of doing carve-outs, I would call it.
Wow.
You're carving out, to make it fit, the FAA requirements, but not really. And and do they really know what they're doing? Have they lost touch with the footprint?
Wow.
That's the question.
And that's scary for me because this is something that I've learned from the glass cockpit. I was training in a steam gauge, and I love the steam gauge. There's a bunch of clocks. Yeah, people call them clocks. My friends who come flying with us. But I mean, for me, I feel like they're more safe because we've been in a cockpit once where me and Brian were flying, and all the systems went down. We're in a glass cockpit airplane, and now we have nothing to look at except the 3 gauges down here. But I always feel like, hey, you got the steam gauges, you're safer. Now with going to glass, commercial started going to glass first and military. Is there an aspect where there's so much computerization that really it's more unsafe? Because I've heard from people who are in the industry that it's more safe because the computers take a load off you and the pilot can do other things. Is it kind of helpful, but can it be a detriment at the same time?
Well, and that's the thing. It is actually safer to have the automation and to use your automation. It really is, because it reduces your workload, 2 people working together. But what it does is there's a side effect. If you become dependent on the automation, then when you lose, like you did in your aircraft, now what do we do? Because we don't know what those 3 clocks down here are.
We never used them in 10 years.
Yeah, and we don't know what they are. And so that's the problem, is that when you lose touch. Actually, this is what I'm working on my dissertation right now, and during my research, is what happens, because they call it automation dependence. Well, no, it's a choice to disengage or not. And I hypothesize that pilots today are not disengaging their automation comfortably and handling their aircraft solely because they don't understand it. And because and the understanding comes from training. And so what is really impacting this? You may not use it for 10 years, but we have to know how to do it. And that's going to be, it would be better to do it in the simulators than it would be in the aircraft, because you've been flying all night, you're going into a foreign airport. You want to have everything. You don't want to be practicing your flying skills with all these passengers on. You want to utilize everything available and have the confidence and do the safest course of action, which it is. It really is. But what happens when we lose our basic skills? And that's the question. How do you solve that problem?
And that's true. I know for myself, I don't fly on an ongoing basis, but I've flown with Brian, and I love setting up the GPS and the flight management system, putting all the waypoints, and then bam, there's that little magenta line. We'll just follow that. We'll get to the next airport. But what happens when, poof, everything goes off? Do I know where I am? Am I situationally aware to get out of the situation? And when you're an airline pilot and you have 150, 200 people behind you, now it becomes that much more critical. And I'm guessing your stress goes up tenfold or 100-fold, because now you have the responsibility of not only getting yourself on the ground, but getting the passengers safely on the ground.
Well, I don't want to disillusion you, but the pilots we really don't think about our passengers. And I shouldn't, that sounds bad, because we think about our passengers, we want to give them a safe, comfortable ride. Yeah. But when you're focused and flying that airplane, if you get your airplane and yourself on the ground, they're going to be fine. So this is actually my Flight to Success book that I wrote. It's really about where you focus. You do not want your pilots worried about you in the back seat. You want them to take all that thought power and everything and focused on what they're doing. And here's the thing with the aviation today. It is safer than it has ever been because of the automation. They're building airplanes better than they ever have. Okay. But equipment fails. And part of, we a little bit about threat and air management. It's about proactive safety. We need to anticipate that this highly automated equipment is going to fail one day. And will we be prepared for it when it does? Okay.
And that's what Darby's doing. I love the fact that Darby is this little Spitfire, and she's like, I want to make sure that other aircraft don't have problems. Now she's starting to witness problems in cockpit that she's been in, and she's brought it to management just because she cares about people and her fellow pilots. But she's not being received well. Why is that?
I don't know, but it's, I have to tell you, you're a lot Darby too. Yes, you're a lot Darby. Yeah, just that little activist, and that's common sense and not being afraid to speak out. You know, for what you do, it's just it's just hiding the fear, because most people are afraid to speak out of what they're going to get in trouble. Yes. You know, it's like the old saying is, if you've gone your 30 or 40 year airline career and the chief pilot doesn't know your name, you've had a success. You know, and so that means be silent, be away, just kind of go through the motions. Okay. Darby doesn't feel like that. Darby is concerned. Through the series of books, Darby's lost people, loved ones in airline accidents. And, you know, this is probably more so what fuels her, that she will never allow this to happen again, because she knows, she gets it. And if you know something could happen and don't do anything about it, it's almost like, you know, it's almost, you know, creating this character of Darby, it's almost like people who now will stand by and witness something being murdered or beat up and don't do anything, they're held accountable. They're liable for that on a legal aspect now. You can't just sit there and watch somebody be murdered and not say anything, oh, well, I didn't do it. You know, and it's all about our personal ethics and safety. And Darby has been told, I'll tell you, you know, a lot of her friends, why are you doing this? Jackie is like, why are you doing it? Don't do it.
Flying. You're going to mess up your career. Stop.
Stop it right now. And so it's just, you know, there's just something. You have to take the love of your career and love of what you're doing and put that up against somebody's life, you know, and until how many, you know, look at Air France 447, and as I base all my novels on real accidents, the prologue to Flight for Safety was based on the Air France accident. Actually, no, it wasn't. That was 370, wasn't it?
Yes, 370.
Oh, now I'm getting all my novels. Yeah, so all the accidents in. We've got Colgan Air. We've got 370 that's missing. No, that was Flight for Sanity, remember? 370, hijacking. And
that goes to say, I've heard a recent novel where someone wrote the possibility, because we have flight management system on board, is it hackable that someone can hack into your flight management system and then take over your flight? Is that possible?
No, not with that. And I'm the first person that says never say never. I'm going to say never. Not on that one. Right now, and with today's technology and how the system runs and the ability to have to take complete control of these airplanes, no. Where they're trying to get us to go, they're now talking about building that fully automated drone. I mean, they have them in the military. They've had them for years. But now they're looking at building a passenger aircraft without pilots.
And that's what you go into for Flight for Sanity. So now Darby's not just fighting for the safety of passengers and fellow pilots and crew members. She's fighting for her sanity. They're using this idea that she has some mental health issues, which she so doesn't. She's as sharp as a whip. But they're using that against her because there's profits, I believe, and power behind all of this. But also this kind of thing they want to push forth, which is this idea that we could fly a whole passenger plane with minimal people and have machines do it for her. Is that even possible?
It's possible, but which is going to be that was going to be my third novel. And now it's going to probably be my sixth novel, because as I'm researching and finding out what they're doing, you know, holy cow, this is really a good plot points. You know, and some of them are so unbelievable. But yeah, they really, realistically, in the ideal world, they'll have a big warehouse and they'll have one person sitting there departing 5 aircraft, and they're going to be sitting there watching screens and monitoring and managing their aircraft to go over ocean and get them off to landing. And that's ultimately, I can envision where they're trying to go. It's not going to happen overnight. Everybody says, oh, I'll never get on an airplane without a pilot. However, with that said, I remember the era where everyone said, passengers and pilots said, I'll never fly an airplane across the ocean with only 2 engines. And the passengers said, I'll never get on an airplane with 2 engines. And what do? Everything is 2-engine today. You know, so, and we fly all around the world on 2 engines, so it's like,
Well, we already have the ideas of cars being driven around without us manually driving them. And I think people feel kind of okay about that. I mean, some people are like, no, I want to drive my own car. But I think what they're pushing, and I also get this in the book, is they're pushing the idea that this is for safety reasons. And I actually think from what Darby's discovered, it's actually decreasing safety, because like we talked about earlier, if everything fails or if systems go down and now you don't have the computer to help you, you have to have someone who can actually do the job, who actually can fly the aircraft.
Right, and we're growing so quickly, and and it really boils down to training, and it really get these new pilots coming in and really give them the core skills and keep those core skills refined as they go through training and teach them out. Now, every time I'm like researching or something comes up and it inspires me for something new, I have to tell you, I'm going to write an airplane movie for kids.
I was telling you this should be a movie. Well, all 4 books so far should be a total movie. It would be like it should be a series on TV.
I think they are. The very first one, Flight for Control, I had numerous people saying, this is extremely visual. This is going to be a movie. And I said, and I actually went and took a screenplay writing course because I wanted to learn how. And then with school and writing other books, I just haven't done it myself. But they are very, the stories is so strong and it's so real.
Characters are awesome.
Yeah, thank you. And people inside the aviation industry, they say, "Oh, I know that accent. I know this." People, I have a group. There was a group of women, and they had their book club. And I'm thinking they were probably in their mid to late 70s, and they read Flight for Control.
Yeah.
And I said, or maybe it was Flight for Safety. But they're all kind of the same aviation. They're not pilots, and they said they love the romance. Oh, I love the romance part,
Yeah.
And so, but the comment was, I didn't realize how much pilots have to do, what the level of stress is, how much they have to know. They said this was incredible for them to be able to go inside the cockpit and actually see what's really happening. And a responsibility.
Yeah,
so
it's a huge responsibility. I mean, just being in a small aircraft, I'm like, whoa, overwhelming with ATC and certain weather systems. But imagine now you're doing that, and you're on, as you say, on the back end of a clock. You've been up for 17 hours. You're flying to Japan. That's already an 11-hour flight, I believe. Yeah. And now you have to land the airplane with a whole bunch of people on your back and make sure you don't crash it, and maybe the weather is inclement or whatever it might be. So I mean, it's a lot of stress on your back that I don't think people realize. They're just like, and I think people today kind of treat airlines or pilots as kind of like my bus driver up front. This is nothing like driving a bus. Nothing.
No, and that's the thing. It's like if you look at a lot of kids, we're having a pilot shortage. We really are. It's hard. How are we going to recruit pilots? Every year I host a flying event to give these kids free flights, to open that door, to let them go, wow, this is so cool, I could do it. Because that's how I started. I took that first flight and thought, wow, they're going to pay me to do this. But what happens is it's so expensive to get into this, and then they pay so little at the at the regional airlines, at the commuter level. It's kind of like, how can I afford to ever pay back my student loans? And so it's kind of a self-induced, we need them, but we're not going to pay them to get there. But here's a really interesting thing, and I didn't realize this, that I was over at Central Washington University, my old alma mater, and I was doing a talk over there and found out that there's like Horizon Airlines and Alaska, they're actually paying interns, they're paying them for school, and then they get to come, but they owe them to come, but they get a job when they get out of it.
So
they're investing in the, God, can you imagine if all the airlines did that? Invest in these pilots, and these young people, our future generation, invest in them, and then, that's how we're going to solve it. But I kind of, this is the plotting, the novel writing. Okay, why are we creating a pilot shortage? Because we have induced it by changing the mandated hours up to 1,500. Why have we created this pilot shortage when we have a pilot shortage already, and it's all going to automation, and they're announcing we're going to have pilotless aircraft? We're going to see, I kind of think the theme in my novel, we're going to end up at the end of the day say, this was true, this was not an accidental, we have a pilot shortage and it's an economic reason, we got to take 4 pilots down to 3, or the 3 crew members down to 2, or 2 down to 1, because the technology is great. They're getting the technology there, we're creating a pilot shortage, and I kind of think that's what's going to happen. I will be an advocate for this pilot job. I am. I'm just going to stand by it, and safety is the key. And it's.
And what's awesome about your books, you don't have to be a pilot to get something out of it, because what I've learned through all of your novels, it made me realize that when I was going out there trying to get the cheapest ticket possible, because I think, hey, I want to fly to I don't know where, all the way halfway across the country and pay $90. What does that mean? Is everyone on the airplane that's providing the service to me getting paid? How can they possibly get paid? And we don't think about that. Even to gas the airplane can cost several Probably, I'm thinking thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're not thinking about all that. All we want is what we want right now. And I used to say to people that have come on my show, you know, we talked about sustainability with one of our recent clients, guests, and she said to me, listen, you want sustainability on the planet, but then again, you want to go out and have a $1 shirt from the 99-cent store. What is it taking to get that from India? You're having to pay someone pennies to make it. I mean, you have to look at the whole picture. So it's made me realize that I don't want to go out there anymore and look for the cheapest ticket. I want to look for a place that provides the best quality service where I know their people are being taken care of. Because if they take care of their people, they're going to take care of me. So I think that's where the end buyer can actually make a big difference in safety, in that they don't choose to always just go for the cheapest. And what does that equal for you getting the cheapest?
Right. And you know, in some of these airlines, you know, we know things sell by marketing.
Yes.
You could sell rock as a pet. I mean, seriously, if you have the right marketing, right? Yeah. So and chia pets, you know, they were like the thing. So, but we know how powerful marketing is, and we know how expensive marketing is, you know, in advertising. So if you look at the airlines who are focusing all their energy into the marketing and the advertising, it makes a beautiful, it looks just like the most beautiful, you know, product on earth, and market it. But where the dollars really need to be spent on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
They need to be set behind the scenes and help provide the skills and the tools to make people comfortable. So my movie, I was going to tell you, what inspired this children's movie, it's going to be called Jungle Air.
Ooh, yay.
And, and we're going to have little monkeys flying the airplanes.
Aww.
I know, that'd be so cute. But it's going to be it's going to be fabulous. But one of the statements is, you know, because now we're going to diversify the jungle, and we're going to let the little tiger come fly. So little tiger gets to get in the cockpit, and she starts questioning, "Why are you doing this?" And all the monkeys just say, "No, we were told which buttons to push," and then they push their buttons to get the banana. Okay. Now this came from a real life discussion from a pilot who came from old school Rand Isle, who's in the brand new Airbus, and is asking questions. Well, because he wants to know. He wanted to know how this worked and why. Why am I pushing this button and why are we doing this? And the instructors finally said, stop asking questions. Be the monkey, push the button and get the banana if you want to get through this course.
Wow.
And I thought,
that's scary.
but I thought, well, he probably just didn't know the answers, and he didn't know enough to say, you know, that's a good question. Let me go find out, and I'll find out and let you know. He just told him to stop asking questions. Don't be that monkey. But I thought, when I heard that, I thought, oh, that'd be perfect. What if we had a whole little airline of cartoon, you know, these little animated monkeys that are out, you know, pushing the button and getting their bananas. And then what happens when they diversify, the little tiger gets on and goes, maybe we shouldn't be doing that, you know.
Or maybe, why do we do? In fact, it's interesting. During my training in flight, my teacher would say, "Why did you just do that?" I'm like, the book told me to. You did a couple of flights ago. No, but you have to know why. Everything connects to everything. There's a pedo tube for a reason. What's happening when la la la? So it's like, you know, to understand what's really going on flight. Because one day he said, "You won't have me here, and if something goes wrong, you have to understand why it's going wrong so you can fix it."
That is such the ground roots of my research, and why, because everybody knows the problem. The Office Inspector General wrote, here's the problems in this industry. We have, you know, we're the safest ever. We don't hear accidents, right? But the reports that are coming in, thousands, hundreds of thousands coming close calls. So there's a lot of stuff going on. They just haven't manifested into that big crash.
And we don't want that.
Yeah, we don't want that. And so it's really about understanding. And you know, and not even aviation, if everyone just said, okay, I'm not going to mindlessly go push buttons. We're going to research. We're going to understand why it's doing it. You know, I have to thank my mother for this, because, you know, we remember the things in our life. But I remember her telling me not to disrespect your teachers, but just because somebody says something doesn't mean they're right. If you have a questioning mind and you think about it, then maybe, you know, just, you know, respect them, but ask why, and dig a little bit deeper, which, you know, if we could all do that in society, we would probably be a lot better off. And just saying, well, because it was on YouTube, I did it.
Yeah, or I saw it, so therefore, or my doctor just told me so. And I think it's the same with everything in life that is not working perfectly. If we all just asked a few more questions, I mean, it doesn't make your doctor or teacher wrong just by asking questions. One doctor came on my show recently, he's like, I actually like questions. That means the patient cares about their health. I don't want them to come in here as a dead rock and say, fix me. Because guess what? When they leave here, they have to be able to follow my instructions, but know why they're following my instructions, just like the cockpit. Because if I ask you to change your health and add more alkaline stuff, but you don't know why I'm asking you to do it, then you're just going to be like, well, the heck with that. I'm going to have my pastries and whatever and meat and everything not good for me unless I understand how everything's affecting the whole.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
You know, and we've come to this, you know, it used to be in the old days where the captain was also the educator. The captain's job was not only fly with you and kind of, you know, be in charge, but they were there to teach the new kids coming up on the block, in essence. And now it's kind of, no, we're just positions, your position, my position, and we all work together. But I have learned through all these different airlines that the best flights that I've ever had are the ones where I see a pilot do something or they make a decision, and then I'm able to say, that was really interesting. You know, can you explain to me where you were thinking, where that came from? Boy, they love it. And they just open up and start talking, and then we talk aviation during the whole flight instead of complaining about a contract or complaining about something. You know, when you start allowing people to openly ask questions, and it's okay. It's okay to ask a question, and you don't take it personally as an ego that you're being challenged. You take it the sincerity of when it's asked. Then the conversation, you know, unfolds, and it goes down a entirely different path, and everybody learns, and it goes by quickly, and it's entertaining. It's really fun. So.
And then on the same time, what I'm loving about your books, and what I'm hoping it will do for the pilot community and everyone working in the airlines or about to enter the airlines, is to realize if we open up, as you say, open up the whole community to being open to asking questions. Because I think maybe people in management just don't understand that the asking of questions doesn't make that they're trying to not do their job or going against our policies. That if we all come from this idea that we all care about the company, we want to make it better, that there can actually be, you know, more growth, more profit, and actually be better for everyone.
Absolutely. And it's so true. I mean, it is so true, and that's the core essence of a safety management system, is enabling people to do that, to come forward. And I think that's what Darby is finding, that while the FAA has mandated this, this is not what's really going on in the airlines. And so, you know, and then you have to think, why would they not just say, you know, because we know Darby reported and gave a safety report to the company, and it's like, whoa, this is bad. We have to do something to Darby now and get rid of her. And then you wonder why the company didn't say, thank you. And we'll look into it, or thank you, Darby, we'll look into it, close the door, and then kind of like, ha-ha, didn't know anything, rip it up, throw it away. Either way, it would have been fine. Why the attack on a character? You know, that is, you know, and so I'm going to let all the readers, I'm not going to tell them why the attack on the character, because we can all form our own opinion from the characters doing this, and then they have to read the next novel, Flight for Justice.
Ooh, I can't wait for that one.
Oh, it's going to be so good.
Well, I don't want everyone to leave here without getting a personal autographed copy on your website. They can go to KarlenePetitt.com, correct?
Correct.
And tell them where they can find out, get all of your books and what you have coming up on the agenda this coming year.
Yeah, so all the books. And also I not only have, as you know, my thrillers, but I have the motivation book, Flight to Success. Also, it doesn't have to be just for a pilot. It can be for anyone's just life skills through lessons.
It's great. I read it.
Thank you. Thanks. And then we've got the ABC book. I Am Awesome, the ABCs are being made for the children. And all the funds, all the proceeds are going to that, to the Children's Museum in Bend, Oregon. So my daughter's trying to put that together. She illustrated it. So it's pretty nice. But so everyone can get my books on, as you said, KarlenePetitt.com. They're on Amazon. They're on Kindle. You can get paper, hardback. I don't want to tell it, undercut Amazon, but actually do give the pilot discount. You don't have to be a pilot to get it on my blog. So I sell them a little bit better price on my blog than they do on Amazon. So you get quite a few savings there. But lots going on. And then also, if you have anybody, any of your listeners who are pilots, commercial pilots, corporate charter, just have to be 2-person flight crew. I need their help. For my survey, my research, I'm going to have to get minimum of 1,600 surveys complete. I'm shooting for 3,000. The dean thinks it's not going to happen. Everyone says we're going to get it. We can't get it, but kind of tell me I can't do something. I'm going to do it.
Just like you're flying. Right?
Yes. So you can't fly. You're a girl. Oh yes, I can.
Watch me.
So what I need is, or everybody knows a pilot somewhere. So I need everybody everyone to reach out and be part of this, because it's going to be this survey will be completely anonymous, and it is a worldwide survey.
Ooh.
And when I get it fully approved, and I'm going to Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University.
So this is part of your doctorate.
So part of my doctorate, yeah. So we're going to need this research, and it's in the hands of the proposal getting approved right now, and it's going to be good. And basically what it is, I am identifying a problem is why aren't we not hand flying? Where is our level of understanding? And hope to take away from, when a plane goes down or accident occurs, it's pilot error. Pilots aren't going to make it.
We should say pilot error. It's like
it's a catch-all. We are the catch-all. You know, look at what Captain Sully did. Okay, they tried to say pilot error.
Why did you go into the water? You could have flown to
exactly.
LaGuardia. And I'm like, you're not in the aircraft.
Yeah, and so and we need skills like that captain. And until we address that, the new generation coming in, just because of the course, the system may not have those skills. It's proven planes break.
That's right.
And we need that. So I need everybody, and it will be anonymous. You won't be identified with your associated with, won't take your name, won't take your, your company you work for, and it's going to be great. So anyone can go ahead and actually email me at karlene.petitt@gmail.com and just put the subject line survey participant, and I'm putting everyone in a category, and then when I get the survey ready to go, I will reach out to them. But it's kind of like it enables people to take control of their life and take control of what they need in their in their company that may not be provided, could probably be do better without putting their neck on the line like Darby did. And so what Darby's going through is very real, in Flight for Sanity, and so people want to help, but they're afraid.
Yeah, because you don't want to lose your career.
Exactly. And so this is a way that they can participate in their career, the future of their career, and help create change without having any risk to themselves.
That's perfect.
So,
God bless you. I'm so grateful you were able to come out here and share your vast wisdom in this area and your wonderful books. Thank you so much, Karlene, for coming back to Savvy Business Radio.
Oh, thank you. It's always a pleasure.
SavvyBusinessRadio.com. We help business owners connect to successful individuals who share their gifts with the world at SavvyBusinessRadio.com.